Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers that are drawing on March 13th, 2019. If you'd like to get my game Decoding the Powerball, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Thank you, and please subscribe. Okay, so the object of my game is for you to correctly eliminate groups of numbers. There are 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball Lottery. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners, so that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. So for me, I just think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. So to help me do that, I'm going to turn to the 5 strategies of my game. So strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to show you on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers of the Powerball Lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage. And the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 5, 6, 45, 55, and 59. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list. And now I'm going to find out what colors they were. Okay, so the 5 was green, the 6 was red, the 45 was purple, the 55 was purple, and the 59 was red. Okay, so I'm going to color those in. So again, the 5 was green, the 6 and 59 were red, the 45 and 55 were purple. Okay, so I'm going to count them up. I got 2 red, 2 purple, and a green for 3 colors total. All right, so now I'm going to make this 313 for the color code drawings. And a 3-color combination has now come up 168 times. Okay, so if you do some quick math here, if you divide the 168 into 313, you can see that a 3-color combination comes up more than half the time. Okay, so I think that that's huge, because if I just keep on playing a 3-color combination, statistically I'm going to be correct more than half the time. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to recreate the game card here. So I'm going to eliminate all these colors and start over. Okay, so what I do is I took the 69 white ball numbers. Okay, I divided it by 5 different colors. Okay, and 5 different colors for one for each of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, and that equals 13.8. Okay, so what I want to do, my goal is to get as close to as 13 or 14 numbers per color as possible, or a good representation of each color. Okay, so I'm going to start with the red numbers here. Okay, so right here is my color code. Okay, you can see that the last 3 drawings are red, then orange, then green, blue, and purple. Okay, so I'm only going to do the last 3 drawings of red numbers, and the reason why I'm doing that is because that will give me a maximum of 15 numbers. Okay, so I'm going to start out with the 5, the 6, the 45, 55, and 59. Then it was the 6, which is taken, and then the 10, 21, 35, 46, and then it was the 1, 19, 25, 27, 68. Okay, so I'm going to color those in red. And now I'm going to count how many I have. So I got 2, and 3 is 5, and 3 is 8, and 3 is 11, and 3 is 14. So I'm going to leave that alone at 14. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the orange. Okay, I'm going to start with the 21, which is already taken. Okay, so I'll go with the 31, 42, 49, 59, 4, 6, 14, 20, 32, 27, 49, 50, 51, 52, and then the last row is 29, 30, 41, 48, and 64. Okay, so I'm going to color those in orange. And I got 2, 3, and 4 is 7, 8, 9, 10, and 5 is 15. So I'm going to make this 15 red, orange numbers here. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the green. I'm going to start with the 2, the 8, 14, 24, 69, 3, 7, 39, 5, 13, 28, 38, 63, then the 10, 17, 18, 43, 65, and then the 2, 12, 16, 29, and 54. Oops. Okay, so I got one more, and that's the 8, 12, 20, 21, and 32, which are all taken. Okay, so now I'm going to count these up. So I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 green numbers. Okay, so I think you get the gist of how I come up with this color code. Okay, so I'm going to move on just to save time. Okay, so here's the game card for this drawing, 3/13/19 right here. Okay, and I have 14 red numbers, 15 orange, 18 green, 14 blue, and 8 purple numbers. Okay, so again, the object of the game is to eliminate numbers. Okay, so again, more than half the time, a 3-color combination is coming up. So that means more than half the time, 2 colors are not coming up. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to guess what color group will not be coming up for this drawing. Okay, so for me, I'm going to pick that no green numbers are going to come up. And the reason why I'm doing that is because a green number has come up in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 drawings. Okay, so even though it has the most on the board, that really doesn't mean anything when it comes to this. Okay, you just got to go with you just got to predict what the ebb and flow will be. Okay, and I'm going to say no green numbers. All right, so if you would have picked last drawing, if you would have picked no orange numbers or blue numbers, you could have really eliminated all those numbers and gave yourself a much better chance at picking the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so for the last drawing, I'm going to put down there was no orange numbers, so I'm going to block those out for the last drawing. And the reason why I'm doing that is I want to show you how my game works here. Okay, so I'm going to block those out. So you can see the 5 winning numbers are right here, 5, 6, 45, 55, 59. So you can still see that they're still on the board here. Okay, so I'm going to do that for this drawing. Again, I'm going to say no green numbers. So for this drawing, I'm going to knock out the green. Okay, almost done. Okay, so again, when I block out a number like this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think would be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so if I'm correct with my pick and none of these green numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so what I like to do here is I like to get you involved at home. Okay, so what I like you to do is grab a piece of paper, put the video on pause, and draw out this game card. Okay, and now I'm going to go back. So if you decide to go with me and say no green numbers, then this is how your game card should look at home. Okay, so I want you to X out what numbers you don't think are going to be coming up. Okay, so I'm going to move back to the game card here, and I'm moving on to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 2, the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. Okay, so again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so there has to be a majority of either odd numbers or even numbers, or numbers to the high side or numbers to the low side. So I like to keep track of that and try to correctly guess what the majority will be for the upcoming drawing. Okay, so how this works is I'm going to make this 358. Okay, and as I go back to the game card here, you can see that the numbers are 5, 6, 45, 55, 59. So that's 4 odd numbers and 1 even. So 4 odd, 1 even. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this 189 now. Okay? So again, what I like to do is I like to break this down into 5 so it shows me that majority. So out of this 5 drawings, the majority was even numbers, 3 drawings to 2. Okay? Then it was odds, odds, evens, odds, 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 odds. Okay? So since there was a huge run of odd numbers here, okay, 1 even, couple odds, I'm going to say that this is going to run with evens. Okay? So this next drawing, I think, will be the majority of even numbers. Okay? So I'm going to write that down on my game card. Okay, and now I'm going to move over to high and low here, okay? So all the numbers in red are considered high, all the ones in blue are considered low, okay? So with the last drawing, it was 5, 6, 45, 55, and 59, so the majority was to the high side. Okay, so I'm going to make this 180 now, okay? So moving down through, you can see that it's been going back and forth, high, low, and then a bunch of high, okay? So what I'm thinking is that this is going to stay to the high side here, okay? Just because I think it's going to get closer to this 180 mark here, all right? So I'm picking high. I'm sorry. I pointed out low, but I meant to say high. Okay, so I think that this is going to have some more separation to it. Okay, so I'm going to say to the high side. More numbers will go to the high. Okay, and then next is left and right. And for this one, I look at this and I think it's going to be more to the left side. Okay, because as I go down through, you can see that the right has just been dominant here lately. Okay, so I'm going to say that this is going to be left, so I think the next 2 drawings are going to be to the left side here. Okay, okay, and the last one, let me write that down as well. Okay, and the last one I have is this red and blue. Okay, so you can see that the red has a lot more of the majority, 199 to 159. Okay, so as I head down through, you can see that there's been a bunch of reds way down here. Okay, and I think that's going to happen with the blue now. Okay, so I think the majority will be blue for this upcoming drawing. Okay, I'm going to put down blue. All right, so as I head back to the 50-50 picks here, I do have something for the Powerball itself. Okay, so for the Powerball, the red number, there's 26 red numbers. So over here in this column, I just divided it by 2. So if you see a blue number, that means it's low, 1 to 13. If you see a red number, that means it's high, 14 to 26. And on this side, the right side, if you see a red number, that means it's odds. If you see a blue number, then that means it's evens, okay? So the reason why I like to do that is because now I just look at the colors, okay? So when I see a long strip of red, well, I know it's going to be blue eventually. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so for this drawing here, I do think that this is going to be a blue number, okay? So I think it's going to be a low number, 1 to 13, okay? And over here, I think it's going to be blue as well. So I think the number is going to be either 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, or 12, okay? I'm not sure what I'm going to go with yet, all right? But this is what I have. And I'll just scroll down a little bit, okay? So this green thing means that the Powerball repeated. So you can see that the 18 came up and then it repeated, okay? So that's what the green thing is all about here, okay? So I'm moving on to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 3, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers, okay? What I did is I'm going to bring this down so you can see the whole card. But basically what I did is I took the 69 numbers and I divided it into 7 different groups, okay? So group number 1 holds the numbers in 1 through 9, okay? That's the only one with 9 numbers, and then the rest have 10, the teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, okay? So again, that's 7 groups total, and there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers, okay? So there can't be a winning Powerball number in all 7 groups here, okay? So the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so what this big square is for is I like to divide things into 5, okay? This doesn't really show me a majority like the others do, but my theory behind this is if there's a bunch of hits within this 5 drawings, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay, so just kind of looking at this, you can see that these 20 numbers, actually I haven't filled these in yet. Let me blow this back up so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so you can see that the 5 and 6, I haven't put this in yet. Okay, so the 5 was green, and then the 6 was red. Okay, and I think I already did the 40s. Yeah, here's the 45. Okay, so the reason why I made the square green for the 5 is because the 5 is green from the color code. Okay, so I want to see how many groups this hit. So I have 1 group, 2 groups, and then 3 groups. Okay, so 3 out of the 7 groups hit. So I'm going to color this a 3. Okay, so as I head down through, you can see that the 4 comes up a lot. Okay, and then a 3 is a close second. Then a 5 comes up every now and again, and the 2 comes up like once in a blue moon, okay? Now, I never seen a 1. I've never seen all 5 numbers come up in just one group, like 1 through 9 here, okay? So how I use this is I could highlight just one number, like this 6, and I could go down and see what colors have come up or what colors haven't come up, okay? So you can see that there hasn't been a green in a while, okay? Oh, here's one right here. Sorry about that. But that's how I use this, okay? So another way that I use this is I try to correctly guess how many groups will be hit, okay? So since I haven't seen a double 3 like this in a little while, okay, I'm going to say that another 3 is going to come up. Okay, so I'm expecting just 3 of these groups to be hit here. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you, and I'm going to make a prediction on what's not going to come up. Okay, and I'm going to say I don't believe any 20 numbers are going to come up. Okay, so I picked this for the last drawing. I got it correct, and I'm going to go with it again. And the reason why is because there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drawings in a row with a 20 number to it, okay? So I think there's going to be a couple of drawings without a 20 number, okay? So there was no 20 in the last drawing, and I think it will go again with no 20 number. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate the 20 numbers off of the game card. Okay, so in the last drawing, no 20 numbers came up. So if you would have picked that, you could have eliminated all the 20 numbers and gave yourself a much better chance at winning some kind of prize. Okay, and I'm going to do that with this drawing as well. I'm going to predict that no 20 numbers are going to come up. And we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers. Okay, so basically what I did is I took all the numbers and I divided it into 4 different groups. Okay, and I put colors to these groups. So when the 5 white winning Powerball numbers land within these groups, I record where they land down here in the stats. Okay, so for the last drawing, it was 5, 6, 45, 55, and 59. Okay, so that means that there was no numbers in the red area. There was 2 in the blue, 2 in the green, and 1 in the orange. Okay, so if there's a hit, I color the background red for hot. And if there's a miss, I color the background blue for cold. Okay, so now I'm going to make this 82. And that means that there's 82 of these blue marks within this red column here. Okay? And the reason why I do that, if one gets really behind, you can see that they're all pretty close. Okay? But if one gets really behind, like over here for option card number 2, you can see the 68 kind of behind. Okay, so maybe at some point it's going to work its way up to being even or even surpass the other ones. Okay, so I like to keep an eye on that. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing with option card number 2, and I have 15 of these option cards total. Okay, so for the last drawing, again, it was the 5, 6. 45, 55, and 59. Okay, so again, there was no red numbers. There was 1 blue. There was 3 orange. And 1 green. Okay, so again, I'm going to make these red. And this one blue. I'll make this 69. Okay, so again, the object of the game is to eliminate groups of numbers, okay? And the strategy for this group 2, for this group 1 numbers here, is to correctly guess where the 0 is going to pop up, okay? So if I could have correctly guessed that none of these red numbers were going to come up, I could have eliminated all these numbers and gave myself a much better chance at winning some kind of prize, okay? So here's the next one for option card number 3. I already have it filled out. Okay, you can see that the blue missed. All right, you can see that the blue is way behind as well. All right, and I don't think any 20 numbers are going to come up. Okay, so moving on to option card number 4, you can see that no blue and orange came up. Number 5, number 6, 7. I wanted to bring this up because you can see that all 4 color groups got hit. Okay, and when that happens, I call this a row. Okay, so if I don't see a row in a while, then I think it's due to come up. Okay, and like this number 5 here, you can see that there hasn't been a row in a while. So maybe for this drawing, it's going to come up. Okay, and if it does, then I want my 5 white winning Powerball numbers to represent each one of these 4 color groups here. Okay, so Let me go back to option card number 1, and I want you to keep an eye on just the red ones, okay? So I'm just going to count the blue marks, okay? So I got 1, 2, and I'm just counting the red marks here. So here's 3, the red areas, I should say. 4. Okay, so here you can see that there was 4 zeros. And what I call this is my overview of group 1. Okay, so how this is used is if there's 4 or less zeros among the 15 option cards, you can see that with all the option cards here, all the colors are the same. Okay, it's all red, blue, orange, green for each of them. Okay, so if there's 4 or less zeros, I color it red for hot. If there's 5 or more zeros among the blue areas of all 15 option cards, then I color the background blue for cold. And the reason why I do that is because I want some separation, okay? So if I can correctly guess where a blue mark is going to be, then I know that that's going to be at least a third of the option cards that are going to have a 0 to it, okay? So I'm thinking that this blue is probably going to have another 0 here to it, okay? Another blue mark, I mean, okay? Now, this is really tricky because I have rows over here as well, and I haven't seen a row in a while over here, so maybe it will be a row where there will be no blue marks, okay? Now, what this 12 means is that there was 12 zeros among all 15 of those option cards, okay? So you can see that 4 and 5 are 9, 1 is 10, and 2 are 12. So that's how I came up with this. Okay. So again, the strategy is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay. So for the last drawing, if I could have picked that none of these blue numbers are going to come up, I could have eliminated them off of the game card, and again, really give myself a much better chance at winning some kind of prize. Okay, so as I go back to the game card for the last drawing, I'm going to eliminate these blue numbers. Okay, and it starts off with the 3 and the 4. Okay, so let me explain why I eliminated the 58 with the 68 here. Okay, so as I go back to this group 1, you can see that there's no numbers off here to the left side. Okay, so what that means is that I call this sharing the square. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm keeping track of groups of numbers, and with this group of blue here, it's all these numbers, including the 19 and 67, and the 58 and the 68. Okay, so if I don't believe that any of those numbers are going to come up, then I want to get rid of them. Okay, so moving on to the next one. If I could have correctly guessed that no blue numbers were going to come up in this option card number 10, I could have gotten rid of all these numbers and again gave myself a much better chance at winning some kind of prize. So in the last drawing, I'm going to do that again. I would have got rid of the 18. Okay, so you can still see that the winning numbers are still on the board, the 5, 6, 45, 55, and 59. Okay, so I think you understand the gist of how this game works. Okay, so for me, for this drawing, I'm going to say that no blue numbers are going to come up in this option card number 8. Okay, and the reason why I'm picking this is because there's been 18 drawings in a row where one of these blue numbers have come up, and I just think that it's going to miss. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate all these numbers here. Okay, so it's the 65, 66, 36, and all the way down. So I'm over here. So I'll get rid of those numbers. Okay, and as I go back, you can see that all these blue, the 41 and 13 and all that. Okay, so the next one is I'm going to pick the orange here of option card 14. Okay, and the reason why is because they hit 20 drawings in a row, and I just think that it's due to miss. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of all these orange numbers off of the game card for this drawing. And it's the 2-4 and the 65-27. Okay, so I'm going to I'll get rid of those numbers. So okay, so this is what the game card looks like so far. Hopefully, all my picks are correct, and the 5 white correct winning Powerball numbers are still left on the game card here. Okay, hopefully. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Group 1, and what I'd like you to do is make a guess on which one of these option cards will have a 0 to it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scroll down a little bit and then work my way back up. And you make a decision at home and X out those numbers off of your game card. Okay? So moving on to number 2. Now pause the video if you need to. Okay, so you can see that there's a bunch of single zeros here. Okay, so maybe that red will come back up for a 0. Then over here in the blue, option card number 3. One that looks really attractive to me is this blue one. Okay, it's kind of behind on all the others. Okay, and number 4. Okay, so pause the video if you need to. All right. Moving on to number 5. Okay, make a decision on where you think a 0 would be. Okay, moving on to number 7. Okay, make a decision. Moving on to number 8. Okay, make a decision on where you think that 0 is going to be. For me, I find that if there's 2 rows in a row, usually there's going to be a miss. Okay, so that's why I'm going with this blue right here. Okay, number 9. Okay, pause the video if you need to. Make a decision. Number 10. Again, make a decision. Number 11. Okay, where's that 0 going to be? Or you can see there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows in a row, single rows. So maybe this is going to double up. So if you feel that way, then you want to make sure that each of these 4 colors are represented in the 5 Powerball numbers that you pick. Okay, so moving on to 12. Okay, so here's another one where I think a row will probably come up. Okay. Number 13. And again, if you get my game, you could just use this at home. Okay. I know my videos are usually an hour long, but you could take as much or as little time as you want. Okay. So make a decision on 13. Some people have all day. Some people have very little time. So here's the thing, when I'm going through this and I'm looking at this orange here and it's going 18, 19, 20, you know, this is where I just zoom right to this 14 and say, you know, I think I'm going to go with this one every single time until it misses. Okay. So make a decision on 14. And last one. Okay, so make a decision on that one, and we're going to be moving on. Okay, so off to the last strategy, strategy number 5, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers. Okay, so much like group 1, where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups. Okay, so it's just another way of looking at groups of numbers. Okay, but with this one, again, there's 8 groups of numbers here. There's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. So I know that 3 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. So the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so for this last drawing, again, it was the 5, which was purple, 6 brown, 45 purple, 55 gray, and 59 orange. Okay, so I like to read things from left to right here. Okay, so I'm going to go with 1 orange, 2 purple, 1 brown, and 1 gray. Okay, so as I go down here, there was none in the red area, none in the blue. There's 1 winning Powerball number in the orange, the 59. None in the green. There's 2 in the purple. 1 number in the brown. 1 number in the gray. And there was no winning numbers in the yellow area. Okay. So what I do here is I count how many color groups were hit. So there's 1 in the orange, 2 in the purple, 1 in the brown, 1 in the gray for 4 total. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to color this 4 green because the majority of the numbers are over here to the right side. Okay, so I got 2, 3, 4 numbers over here to the right side and only 1 over here to the left side. Okay, so last drawing I had more to the left side than the right. That's why that 4 is red. Okay, so the reason why I do that is when I see a bunch of red in a row, well, I know it's going to be green eventually, so I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen. Okay, so you can see that I already marked this red because the majority is already here for this orange area. Okay, mark this blue because the majority is already established, and with the yellow as well. Okay, so moving on to the next one. I have 15 of these option cards as well, and this is option card number 2. So again, it was the 5, 6, so there's 2 red numbers. 45, brown, gray, yellow. Okay, so 2 red, brown, gray, yellow. Those 2 red numbers, and no winning numbers in the blue, orange, green, purple. Was 1 in the brown, 1 in the gray, 1 in the yellow for 4 color groups total. And the majority was over here to the right side, so I'm going to color this green. Okay? So that's how that works. And again, you can see I already marked out the majority here. Okay? And now I'm going to move on to the next one. You can see that it's already done. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to this thing called the Group 2 Overview. Okay? And I'm going to write down the numbers that have come up. So there was a 0 in the red, 0 in the blue, 1 in the orange, 0 in the green. Okay, so this means option card number 1. And I believe there was a 0 there, wasn't it? 0, 0, 1, 0. So 0, 0, 1, 0. Okay. So as I go back to this group 2, I'm going to move over to option card number 2. And you can see it was a 2, 0, 0, 0. So 2, 0, 0, 0. Okay. So the reason why I do that is because I have all the same colors here. Okay. Red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow for all 15 of these option cards. Okay. So now I like to see what the majority was. Okay, so I'm just going to count the hits. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so 10 hits, 5 misses in that red area. And then in the blue, there was 6 misses, 6 hits, 9 misses. Okay, so again, the majority is whoever has 8. Okay. So this has more than 8, so I colored the background red for hot. And this has, the misses has more than 8, so I colored the background blue for cold. Okay, so the reason why I do that is this is the group 2 overview. Okay, so you can see with the red area, 10 hits, 5 misses. The blue, 6 hits, 9 misses. Okay, so the reason why I do that is I want to try to guess where that blue mark is going to come up. Okay, so here I'm thinking the brown area, I think is going to have a lot of misses to it. Okay, and I'm thinking the green area will probably have a lot of misses to it, and I'm thinking the orange will probably have a lot of hits. Okay, so as I'm going through this, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking that, okay, I think there's going to be a lot of brown misses here, okay? And I'm always going to be looking at this brown area saying, is this where the 0 is going to be, okay? Now, last drawing. If you could have picked that no red numbers were going to come up, you could have eliminated these red numbers and gave yourself a better chance at winning some kind of prize in the Powerball, okay? So I'm going to do that right now. Last drawing, I'm going to get rid of these red numbers. Okay, and you can still see that the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers are still left on the board. Okay, the 5, 6, 45, 55, and 59. Okay, now for this drawing, I'm going to say that no red numbers are going to come up again. Okay, so let me explain this to you as well. Okay. You can see that this is blue and this is red. The reason why that is because, again, I break things down into 5 so I can see the majority of things. And there was 3 zeros to this, so I colored the background blue for cold. There was 3 hits, so I colored the background red for hot. Okay? So because the lottery is so random, I know that nothing can stay cold forever, nothing can stay hot forever. Okay? So when I see a big run like this of all red, well, I know it's going to turn blue eventually. I just have to correctly guess when that's going to happen, okay? And I think it's going to happen right here. I think the 0 is going to be right here, and we'll see what happens, okay? So I'm going to eliminate these red numbers off of the game card for this drawing. Okay, so for this drawing, no red. Hopefully I'm correct. and none of these red numbers will come up. Okay, and moving on to option card number 2. Okay, so if you could have picked that no blue numbers were going to come up in the last drawing, you could have gotten rid of all these blue numbers, and we'll go do that right now. Okay, so last drawing, no blue numbers. And you can see the 5 white winning Powerball numbers are still left on the board here. Okay, so hopefully I'm going to do that for this drawing. And I'm going to say that no red numbers are going to come up. Okay, so as I head down through the stats, you can see that there was a big run here. And I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so no red numbers for option card number 2. I'm going to get rid of that 5. Hopefully that 5 won't come up. Okay, so moving on to the next one, option card number 3. Last drawing. If you could have picked that no yellow numbers were going to come up, you could have gotten rid of the yellow numbers, the 7 and the 36. Okay, so I think you get the gist of things. I'm going to make my pick, and that is I don't believe any brown numbers are going to come up. And the reason why is because of this. All right, I think there's going to be a 0 right here. We'll see what happens. And again, that's the 5 and the 34. And I'm going to get rid of the 58 and the 68 because it's sharing that square right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep on going, but I want to give you a chance to pick your numbers. Okay, so let me head down. Now, what I recommend is that since I have 15 of these option cards, and I know that at least 3 of these groups will have a 0 to it, I just recommend that you pick 1 0 out of this option card and move on to the next one. Okay, and let me zoom this up just a little bit. Okay, so make a decision on where you think that 0 is going to be. And X out those numbers off of your game card. Okay, so let me start at the top. Okay, so where do you think that 0 is going to be? And X out those numbers. Okay, so make a decision on where you think that 0 would be. Pause the video if you need to. And then X out those numbers. Okay, so 4. Last drawing. If you could have picked that no. If you could have picked no yellow numbers were going to come up, you could have gotten rid of those numbers. The 65 and the 61. Again, last drawing. Could have gotten rid of those 3. All right. And you can see that the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers are still left on the game card here. Okay, so let me move this down just a bit. Okay, so for this drawing for me, I'm going to go with no yellow as well. Okay, so you can see that the yellow has just been really, really hot. And now I think it's just going to cool off. So I'm hoping that no yellow numbers will come up here. Okay, so for you, make a decision on where you think that 0 is going to be. Pause the video if you need to. And for me, I'm going to get rid of these yellow numbers, which is the 62. Okay, so moving on. Off to number 5 here. Okay, as I scroll down, last drawing. If you could have picked that, no red numbers were going to come up. Could have gotten rid of those, and that's this big circle right here. And you can see that there's no numbers to get rid of here. So for me, I'm going to take the red as well. And you can see that there's nothing to get rid of, okay? So for you, I want you to make a decision on where you think a 0 is going to pop up, and then eliminate that groups of numbers. Again, pause the video if you need to. Moving on to 6. Last drawing, if you could have picked that no yellow numbers were going to come up, you could have gotten rid of those yellow numbers. The 2, 9, 18, 65 all the way down. I'll get rid of the 34. Now for this drawing, I am going to get rid of the yellow as well. And you can see that there's nothing to get rid of, okay? So for you, make a decision on where you think that 0 is going to be, okay? Again, pause the video if you need to. And eliminate that group of numbers off of your game card. Okay, with number 7, if you could have guessed that no red numbers were going to come up, you could have gotten rid of those red numbers, okay? The 65, 18, 27 all the way across. And you can see that there's nothing to get rid of, okay? So for me, I'm going to say that no orange numbers, okay? So you can see that orange started off pretty hot, orange and green. And I'm going to say the 0 is going to be right here, or one of them, okay? So no orange numbers. The 41, 34, 43, 36. Okay, so I'll get rid of the 45 and the 47. Hopefully those numbers won't come up. And for you, sorry, let me slow it down a little bit. For you, make a decision on where you think a 0 is going to pop up. Pause the video if you need to. And X out that group of numbers off of your game card. Moving on to number 8. Last drawing, if you could have picked no brown numbers, you could have gotten rid of the brown, which is the 2, 11, 18, 28. So I'll get rid of the 43. And for this one, I'm going to say no red numbers are going to come up. So it's the 5, 16, 21, 31. And I'll get rid of the 48. Hopefully that 48 won't come up. Okay, so for you, make a decision on where you think that 0 is going to be. 1 out of the 3. Pause the video if you need to. And X out that group of numbers off of your game card. Okay, moving on to number 9. Last drawing. If you could have picked that no yellow numbers were going to come up, you could have got rid of those yellow numbers. And that's the 12, 17 on the left side, and the 6629 on the right side. And you can see that there's no numbers to get rid of here. Okay, so for me, I'm going to say no yellow numbers as well. So I'll get rid of the 44. Hopefully that 44 won't come up. Okay, so for you, again, try to correctly guess where that 0 is going to come up. Pause the video if you need to. Then X out that color group off of your game card. Okay, so moving on to number 10. Last drawing, if you could have picked that no gray numbers were going to come up, you could have gotten rid of those gray numbers. The 17, 28, and all 4 all the way around. And you can see that there's nothing to get rid of here. Okay, so for me, I'm gonna take that as well, and I'm gonna get rid of the 32 and the 60. Okay, so for you, you see how hot this gray has been. Okay, so make a decision on where you think that 0 is going to be. Pause the video if you need to. And X out that color group off of your game card. Okay, so moving on to 11. Last drawing, if you could have picked that no blue numbers were going to come up. Could have gotten rid of those blue numbers. And that's the 7, 18, 36, 69. And the only one left here is that 53. Because that shares the square with the 69. Okay. Okay, and moving on for me, I am going to go with no orange numbers. Okay. The 66, 67, 33, 54. And I'm going to get rid of the 19 and the 67. Hopefully those 2 numbers won't come up. Okay? So moving on for you. Okay, try to correctly guess where that 0 is going to pop up. Pause the video if you need to. And X out that color group off of your game card. Okay, moving on to number 12. Last drawing. If you could have picked that no yellow numbers were going to come up. You could have gotten rid of all those yellows, which is the 3 and the 39. Okay, you could have gotten rid of those numbers. All right. And for me, I'm going to go with no red, the 5 and the 33. And I'm going to get rid of that 14. So hopefully that 14 won't come up. Okay, so moving on for you. Okay, try to correctly guess where that 0 is going to pop up. Again, pause the video if you need to. And X out that color group off of your game card. Okay, moving on to 13. Last drawing, if you could pick that no yellow numbers are going to come up. You could have gotten rid of those yellow numbers. The 37 and the 1. Okay, and for me, I am going to get rid of the gray. Okay, so that's the 33 and the 5. I'll get rid of that 15. Okay, so for the next one here, okay, if you could have picked that no green numbers were going to come up. I can't remember if I gave you a chance to pick from 13. Let me do that. Pause the video if you need to. And X out that color group off of 13. Okay, so moving on to 14 here. If you would have went with no green numbers, you could have gotten rid of the 38. And that brings it down to the 5 white winning numbers, the 5, 6, 45, 55, and 59. Okay, so for me, I am going to pick no purple numbers. So I'll just get rid of these purples. And that's the 51. Okay, so somehow I forgot to take out the 53. Okay, so the numbers that I'm going to go with are the 10, 30, 35, 52, and 56. Okay, so just highlight that a different color. Okay, so let me go back to 14, give you a chance to pick. Okay, so make a decision on where you think that 0 is going to be. Pause the video if you need to. And X out that color group off of the game card. Okay, so moving on to 15. Last drawing. If you could have picked that no green numbers would come up, then you would have been correct. Okay, so let me give you a chance to look at this. Okay, make a decision on where you think one of those 3 zeros are going to pop up. Pause the video if you need to. And then X out that color group off your game card. Okay? So that's it for that. And again, the numbers that I'm going to go with for this drawing are the 10, 30, 35, 52, and 56. Okay, so you can see that they're all, there's 4 even numbers, okay, which I wanted, all right. The 35, 52, and 56 are to the high side. Majority to the high, which I wanted. Majority to the left, the 10, 35, 52. And that majority to the blue, the 30, 35, 52. Okay? And when it comes to the individual numbers, again, I wanted a 3 here. I wanted to represent 3 groups. So you can see that 10's in its own group, the 30, 35 is in the 30 group, 52 and 56 is in its own group, so that's 3 groups total. Okay, so again, that's why I'm going to go with these numbers. All right, so let me talk about the odds for a second. All right, the odds for the grand prize, that's all 5 white numbers in the red ball. Okay, the odds are 1 in 292 million that you get that correct. Okay, now this is my goal, to get all 5 white balls correct. That's odds of 1 in 11,688,000. Okay, this would be a really nice prize. 4 white balls and a red ball, that would pay you 50,000 plus the power play. All right, that's just about 1 in a million odds. Okay, and then $100 one, 4 white balls or 3 in the red. That's 1 in about 14,000. And then 2 white balls and a red ball will pay you $7. That's about 1 in 700 drawings. Okay. So they say play responsibly. I just want you to know that if you pay $3 per drawing, that will equal $312 per year. Okay, and that's going at 2 times a week. Okay, so last thing in closing, I just want to thank you for watching. Okay, if you like to support my channel, please go to my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Decoding the Powerball. And as always, I want to wish you the best of luck with your picks.